She said last one, but anyway. So I'm just going to leave this for them.
Is there reeds in everywhere?
In repair casks.
In repair.
What they're doing now in the US, they're starting to use a wax around the edge here on the crows, around that area where the groove is. Because that's the area that's going to leak the most. So that's what it's, because it's got so commercial, it takes too long to put in the reed. So, but when they do repair the cask at those cooperages, they do use reeds. So, I'm just gonna try. So, one of the lads to hand me the staves, maybe.
Oh, you can do it, sir.
So up here I have what I call a master jar door. And so I keep this up behind my block. So my template for building a barrel, that once I fill it with wood and it's level, that's the size of my cask. I know the length of the staves, and that'll give me the diameter. So the only measuring tool I have as a cooper is a compass. Everything after that is done by eye. So, right here. Take them over here. Come on. So I'm putting what I call a set of staves together. Generally speaking, on American casks, traditionally, like you can see the damage on that one. And that's the same thing that happened with the twisted wood, with the grain going in the wrong direction. So generally speaking, on an American barrel, there used to be traditionally 27 staves. It varies now because it's very mechanized. So when I started in the distillery, we used to do 5 of these a day, like this. Used to come in this form, what we call a shuck. So this is a Roman tradition. The Romans were the first, and when the wine cask was shipped to different parts of their empire, say from southern France or Spain or to England, when the wine cask emptied, they wanted to ship that wine cask back to where it came from. So they ended up dismantling the barrel to a shuck, because you can get far more bundles of staves and heads on a cart or on a ship than you can full barrels. And when it got back to the winery it came from, they remade the barrel. So what I say is essentially, it's the Romans invented the flat pack, not the Swedes. So you go wide, thin, because I'm trying to create a circle. If I was to put all the wide staves on one side, or the narrow staves on one side, I'd end up with a neck-shaped cask, and I could never get it round. So that's one of the next hardest things to do as a cooper, is to actually keep it round. So for that smaller cask, for example, because of the size, all the staves are the same width nearly. So I have my circle to begin with. But if in this size cask, if I was to use all the staves exactly the same width, I'd have an awful lot of wasted wood. So I've got to use everything, thin and wide. So I'm trying to select as best I can. Now, the other thing I should do for this, for an older cask, is I should number the staves so they go exactly next to one another. But for today, for this demonstration, I just and but if you're making a new cask, this is what you do, you know. You can really smell it now. It's gonna, even though it's here a while, I've used it a few times on the stage. So because the other thing, as you probably realize yourselves this morning, is that the art of coopering, or the knowledge of coopering, isn't very well known. Now, not many people know what a cooper is before they meet me or see me do a demonstration, you know. Whereas 100 years ago, everybody knew what a cooper was. And there was a couple of forms of cooper. There was essentially 2 forms, wet and dry. Wet, tended to be the distilleries, the breweries, the wine industry. Dry tended to be the last couple of states in Gulf Music. Dry tended to be household instruments, butter churns, wash tubs, tankards. You didn't have to be as great a cooper making those because nothing was going to be in it for very long. Whereas, especially the whiskey cask and distilling coopers were considered the best. But when you put a cask into a warehouse for 15 or 20 years, it better come up with something at the end of it. You don't want to be putting your cask in and within a year there's nothing left. So then, next thing is the rivets always line up at the front of the cask where the hole has been bored. That's the front of your barrel. And there's another reason for that as well, which I'll explain in a few minutes. Get them all flat because they're in and out of the mold. And I'll finish with my raise hoop or master hoop, truss hoop some people call it. So trussing comes up a few times in the drinks industry, well in coopering in particular. That could be called a truss hoop. When my apprentice has finished his apprenticeship, what we do is we take the head out of a butt, put him into it, we'll pour in whiskey and water and charcoal and everything that's in the shop, then it goes down sideways and then he's rolled up and down the shop. It's an initiation ceremony that's gone back about 600 or 700 years, and it's called trussing. So trussing is kind of like made from new. The other way it comes up is that what happened in the brewery industry is that when casks went out to, especially in the beer industry, the breweries, casks went out to publicans, cask was emptied, cask lying idle, a couple of guys get the cask, pour in some boiling water, extract some of the beer back out of the wood. You could do the same with whiskey, but it tended to be more in the beer. And you end up with a kind of an alcoholic beverage of some description. That was called trussing. It was highly illegal. You go to prison. And some of the cases I read, there was a case in England where the publican sued the brewery for leaving the cask short, that it was down maybe a gallon instead of a pint. Like there was a tolerance of 1 or 2 pints. This cask could vary slightly a bit in size. And 9 times out of 10, the publican always won. It was up to the brewery to ensure the cask was full. The brewery would argue that somebody had been trussing the cask. In other words, had put boiling water into it, had interfered with it, had taken the beer out of the wood. When they had refilled it, the wood would re-suck up the beer and it would be down again. And so there's a set of books that in England, the vintners used to bring out a book every year on the state of probably all the court cases that came up, all the new legislation and all that, but there was great stories in the whole thing. What you call trussing. The next thing is this groove is up and down, so I got to get it all straight. So use my hook. So my top piece on my head, the heads are dowled in the hole, so the whole thing can be taken apart and repaired. The new ones now coming in are tongued and groove, which is a nightmare for me because once you take them out, they start to fall apart for the dowled heads. So the front of the head, this is the direction of the grain that always lines up with the front of the cask. So that, especially next door, if you've seen next door where the casks are stored, on the bulge, traditionally on the bulge, where they're lying flat, once you put the next barrel on top, it can take the weight, because the grain is going that direction. if you had the cask, the head turned that way, and you put the cask on top and weight on top of it, the whole thing can buckle because it can't take weight. So you always made sure that you lined up your head, your grain, with the front of your barrel.
Are these staves like stuck together, or is that just from a trunk, the lid?
Do you mean how's the head made?
Yeah.
It's just you just get just plank wood, dowel it all together, so it's not round, and then I get my compass my head, that in the middle, and then I scribe it, and then I cut to that line.
How do the staves stick together?
Just doweled. The dowels.
Cool.
Now, as I said, the new ones are coming out of tongue and groove because they're just looking for a way to cut down on cost in America by not having to buy dowels, which is no story. So then I put a rush in that, but I won't do that now because you must be all frozen at this stage. So it's really bad form, like that they would supply some hot toddies or something like this. But the next one has to be.
They don't need any more.
This is grand for me, I'm working. So the other thing, always try to do is get the tools to do the work. That you don't actually, you leave the hammer, the weight of the hammer do the work, that's why it's heavy. So you just go almost as fresh as you came in almost, if you're working properly. So even when I'm coming down the hook, if I hit that badly, I'll bend it. So I have to make adjustments. Turn it up. My head, that's the bell, is it? Nearly there, Dave.
Oh yeah.
So that kind of tap rhythm we heard there, every Cooper was different. So before you come into the shop, you knew straight away who was working, you could hear the tap. The other thing that was different as well is you could knock out these rivets. See it on this one here actually. I'm looking at it, I'm not sure if it's even my own work or not, but you put in a new rivet, and what we did is we put a star shape on the rivet, and every Cooper had a different way of doing it, so you could look at the rivet and know whose work it was. So there's some of the differences that you'd find in working. So there are the kind of things I miss, I suppose, that I don't have 18 Coopers working here anymore, and the banter and the fights and square one. So, back. So just before we go, I'll explain this photograph to you. This is